Hi everyone, this is Scott Fong, President and Founder of SIFF Investment Services. Now, if you own rental property here in the Bay Area, whether it be a single family home, an apartment building, a mixed use building, or even raw land, you've owned it for at least 8 to 10 years, and you want to increase your rental income, you should listen to this video. So the two type of investors that we work with are the conventional investor, whether they own a rental home, an apartment building, or a commercial property. So that's purely an investment property. We can help them exchange that into another like-kind property. And then the second is what I would call an accidental landlord or accidental investment property owner, because everyone, as you know, in the Bay Area who owns a home has a highly appreciated home, and that equity is just sitting in there doing nothing. So what we do is we help unlock that equity, defer taxes in all that appreciation in that primary residence, and create income in retirement. And so that's the second type, which is becoming more and more common as people retire and as my client base ages also. What we find our ideal client is someone who is retired, close to retirement, wants to increase their income and unlock some of their equity, whether it's in their primary residence or a rental property. Some of the things I look at getting started, just a general checkup for any property, whether it's a home or apartment building, commercial property, is what is it worth today? What is your property worth today? What did you purchase it for? What's the income on that property and the expenses? So your net income, right, in a month. What loan balance do you have, if any, on that property? And in today's environment, that's really important because you need to keep that balance on your new property. And as you know, over the last 3 years, rates have doubled, right? So that's a good starting point. Different investment types of real estate that people may not have heard of. Everyone knows about single family homes, apartment buildings, even a commercial property. They may not be familiar with how a commercial property, the leases work, or the tenants and so forth. But two product types, as we age or as we get older, there's two things that generally we don't want. We don't want more responsibility and more management responsibility. No one wants to be doing toilets and cleaning and more time into their 60s and 70s than they were back when they were 40. This is generally, there's very few that want that. And two, most people want more income. So what provides these less management and more income, there's a couple of different investment products out there that may fit that profile for the aging investor. The first one is a Delaware Statutory Trust Fund, which is DST for short, and it's basically a mutual fund. To make it easy to understand, it's a mutual fund with the exception it's usually one large apartment building is the underlying investment. It could be a 200-unit building in San Antonio, Texas, that you are one of the investors. You can park your money very easily into one of these DST funds. The pros about them is no management responsibility and a decent return, maybe a 4.5% to 5% payout. The downside is not as liquid, 6 to 8 year hold minimum, and not that much control. The second type of investment many people may not be aware of is a commercial property called a triple net property. And the reason why they call it triple net property is the definition is the owner is not responsible for taxes, expenses, or insurance. So typically the renter will be a large corporate renter, such as Dollar General or Burger King. And so they will pay you handsomely. You buy the building, they will pay you rent every single month. And usually those contracts, we look at agreements minimum of 10 plus years, 10 to 15 years. So unless those companies, and we do the research, go bankrupt, you are guaranteed that payment for the 10 to 15 years, however long is left on the lease. And you're paid a little bit higher return than DSTs. You're actually closer to 6.5% to 7% on some of them. The pros of that is no management responsibility. The pro, again, is a higher return payout. The con is a little less control, but you still own that piece of property, and it may be farther away because, as you know, California is so expensive, you're not going to be able to buy a Dollar General here for, say, 1.5 to 2 million in California. You can do that in Ohio or Tennessee or South Carolina. So those are two product types that tend to kind of move as we progress in our life, similar to like a bond fund or bond in the equities market for investors. So I would kind of categorize realtors more like a stockbroker, meaning that they're transacting, they're helping you buy and sell a property, but it's very reactive. You tell them when you want to buy, you tell them when you want to sell. How we're different is we generally meet owners of rental properties when they don't want to do anything. They don't even know. We're referred by CPAs, attorneys, financial planners where, hey, why don't you talk to Scott and he'll look at your property or properties, and great, there's no pressure. No one's ever done this for me before. We'll look at their single family home, we'll look at their rental property, for example, and just assess how well they're performing versus what they could do, what other properties are out, what other investment properties out there. How we're different is realtors are not their fault. This is not a negative on the real estate realtors, but they're only usually offering one product type and they're commission based, right? So if you're commission based, if someone's going to tell you, should I sell my property? They're compensated to sell or to buy. So I doubt many of them, yes, they can't convince you to sell if it doesn't make sense. But how we are different, we're fee-based. Whether you want to sell it today, tomorrow, we're not going to work with a client unless we can improve your income minimum of 30 to 40% or more. So when you work with us, you're going to be in a better off financial situation, guaranteed. We'll help you sell the property, help you find new investment property, whatever that type is. And the difference is, how we are different from realtors again, is we offer all types of investment options. Since we're not the broker, we're not just going to represent an area or a product type. We can offer Delaware statutory trust funds, Dollar Generals or Burger Kings in South Carolina, Ohio, multi-unit buildings in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Cleveland, Portland, you name it. So we'd like to think of ourselves as being as objective. You can't be perfectly objective, but we're being as objective as can be in the real estate space.